Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus3 Futures and Commodities Show, June 4th edition. We're recording here on Saturday afternoon. My name is Ben Maldonado, and as always, I am here with my partner, Barrie Hederachi. How are you doing, Barrie?
Doing very well. Rested.
Yeah, did you survive the chop this week?
Yeah, we survived. We thrived.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. You really got to have levels, and you really got to have a way of defining the price action. Otherwise, you're just going to get chopped to death in this market.
Yeah, and it was one of those weeks. So
absolutely. So let's look at Bitcoin, and here's a perfect example of the chopping going on. We had this nice little triangle going on. We broke below it, and we were on the bottom. Then we get this big bar move up. Looks like it's breaking out of the triangle. And where do we end up the week? Right back at the apex of the triangle. So a lot of people got screwed here and chopped up. The main takeaway is, look, we're still below this half square. As long as we're below this, let's call it 33,500 area, you got to, the surprises will be to the downside. And that's kind of been the thesis that we've been going off of. So to me, it looks like no new news, just some shenanigans in this past week that, probably got people wrong-footed thinking we were breaking out again. In addition to the half square, we also have this trend line that we're going to have to deal with. And, again, those two things are not stacking the odds in favor of a bullish outcome here. Anything else you have to add on Bitcoin?
Well, I think you have to respect that, checking the breakout level, the apex from the top. So a little bit of caution, but I really don't buy this. It just looks like some kind of, smoke and mirror. So, but with a little bit of caution, because you have to respect that check back on the apex. So,
yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention,
but basically, it's not really trending up. There's no really trend. It's consolidating, and it's in a downward major trend. So not much to do other than to look at opportunities for the short side for now.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll mention is we're coming to the end of the 69-day, calendar day cycle high to low from that March high on June 6th. So that's coming up Monday. So we'll see what effect that has if that kicks in a new cycle, and maybe we can put it a bottom, or if it may just go through and do one of these 141 type things like it did low to high here. So
right, yeah, we could go into a low into that time cycle.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll watch it and see. Let me kick it back over to you, and we'll talk about the big five and see if any good information came out of the chop we saw this week. There's the MIDI right on top of the box.
Right on top. Well, just to pick it up from where we left, we talked about this 4170 being a key level, and the fact that we'd have to sort of hold above that in order to mount some kind of a rally, and support being around 4100. But more importantly, in that zone, this little box that we dropped in last week. And I said, if we don't really break above 4170, is most likely that we kind of chop around and hang around in the gap here between, and which is pretty much what we did. So not a big surprise, but that's how it worked out. Now going into next week, I could probably say the exact same thing I said last week and
right,
and leave it alone.
Yeah.
But still, this 4170 is still important. We need to be able to sort of hold above that, at least on a 4-hour basis or something, and make the lows on top of that in order to sort of switch the balance and pick up some momentum, pick up some buyers. Otherwise, 4100, up in this area, it's just, there's support. 4060 to 4100 is sort of the buffer zone for the downside. So there's support here. And it's really 4160. If 4160 goes, then I would say it's a safe bet that we're probably going to go and visit the lows again. But
long 4060, right?
I'm sorry, 4060, right?
Yeah.
So 4060 must be held. If we get under that, we're looking for sort of greater weakness. Long as we can hold it, above this box, which is, 4060 to 4100 area, and then we can, we're trying to test 4170. God knows, we tested it pretty much every day last week, right? Can't say it didn't try, and just couldn't do it. So let's see what happens next week. The important thing is if this support area, if we can manage to hold above this box and, pick up some speed to the upside and clear 4170, then, this 4250 area is really the next big test. And if we can take it out, much higher and fast, because we did have a week to breathe after this last, this 4-day leg up, move up.
Where does the ABC go if, let's say, we hold within that box on a low? Where does that take you?
Well, if we do that, well, 44 and a half, at least, right? I wouldn't. I
mean, it depends on where that low would come in, but yeah, something like that.
It's in here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And if we pull it down to the box, it's exactly 44.50, right? Right in there. So we'll see. But the main thing for next week, again, is really watching the 4170 and 4100. Really, if we really get stuck under 4100, then this 4560 is just not going to be a big deal. It's really there for more for spikes, these sort of search and destroy missions. So we'll see how that works out.
Sure.
For next week. And I just wanted to bring the squares in for a second. Well, that was the half 50% of the square that we couldn't make above. And we didn't get a big sell-off. So, it's kind of it's a little bullish, the fact that we didn't just sell off of it. We managed to hold it above, around 4100.
Almost like it's burning time,
Yeah, it's like burning time, exactly. And when you take it from the top, you go 90 degrees down, that's exactly where that middle of that box happens to be.
Yeah, it's a good level.
And so that's the key level. And so looking from another angle, look, we broke out of the square. We broke into the old 90, and then
we're checking back.
The degree line becomes support, right, after we break through. And we check back. We checked that for 2 days, and it was pretty good. So like I said, if we can start, momentum shifts and lower time frame starts to pick up some steam and momentum to the upside, and we clear 4170, then I think we could run a bit higher. So I would bracket the whole thing between this 4100, this box down here, and also 4170 for now. And you guys can follow us on Twitter. We make timely updates when things change. For example, if it breaks out or something else, some other pattern shows up, we'll talk about that. And speaking of that, before I switch to weekly, here's a chart that I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about it when this low came in, and also posted it on Twitter. I really like the geometry here. It looked good the day I posted it. And, you can validate that the geometry is working fairly well when you look at the, 50% line slicing through the fork. How it held it for 5 days, right? Basically just bang, bang, bang. Now, to take that out, it's going to take a little bit of strength, a little bit of horsepower. We'll see if we can get that, otherwise, that's what I'm saying. If we can't really make that, we get a little weakness, we're probably going to go back and tap around here again. So we have to be open to that. And the other side of the coin, if we can clear it, of course we have a little bit of room to run to the upside. Just want to leave it there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's good to have that in the backdrop, just to keep it in mind. And another reason why this is the weekly S&P, if you look at 200, it's a 72-degree chart, and this 216 degrees happens to be right around 4130 or so. And that level, this degree level, is kind of important on the weekly. And you can see where this is where we're doing the battle. And earlier, you can see how when everything was peachy, right? We just kind of sliced right through that. Even then, we came back to really test it. There was a little bit of a struggle here. And then we, continued after this retest. You see that? This bar.
Yep, perfect check back there.
Right there. And then we, continued the move. And again, now we're back in and again here, right? The first leg down, we held in that 3 weeks, popped, broke under. And we didn't just tap it and drop, which means, if we tapped it, just touch it and started turning around, it would definitely point to more weakness. And here we went a little bit above. So the key now is, can we hold above it, or are we going to below? Right now we're split in half. So it's this is not going to make it easier.
It's a perfectly even battle right
Yeah,
now.
perfectly even. So no clues on the weekly yet. So that's why we're watching those daily levels. I think if you guys watch that, you'll see, it'll be much easier to figure out which way it's going to move for the next leg. We'll just leave it at that for now.
Really, really good geometry there on
Yeah.
both charts.
So we're watching all of that to see how it plays out. And in balance, it looks like it wants to go a little higher. So we'll see how that works out. But these levels down here will tell us. Move it on to the bonds.
Also, knowing how the S&P trades, wouldn't be surprised if we did a little false break before they moved it up.
Oh, yeah. False breaks just all around.
Mhm.
Well, we were looking for this little ABCD to finish up. And last week we talked about this, how important this 140 level is. As long as we're above that, we were expecting the market to go up and tap the this 50% area, which is a 146.5 or so. And we couldn't quite do that. And going from the bottom of the square, going off of the low, that ABCD and the half square would line up pretty much together. And that looked like a really good target around 144. Didn't quite get there. Didn't quite take out the low. So we're still sort of putting in some kind of a, big consolidation, looking like a fourth wave-ish sort of one where you want to just kind of wait till you're clear before you jump into this. And if you take out this box, you can see we're continuing to be in that. So not much to do on bonds other than to watch it. I don't know if it's a good idea to just sell it here because we're in the mix. We want to see some kind of a trendiness being established first. So for now, just leave it alone. Let's watch it. Above 144, we're looking for strength. Above 140, we're looking for strength. Other than that, just not much to add to bonds this week. And looking at the weekly bonds, pretty much tells the story coming off of this high, square 72. You can see the weekly really tells the story, right? We had 4 weeks up and then another week down, so a whole bunch of inside price action, inside of this up leg. So this looks like a normal correction on the weekly. Key is to see where that low is going to come in. So we'll wait for that. Bonds gave us a lot on the way down, so let it sort of settle up. I think it's a little bit too early to jump in there with both feet. Now.
And we know the bigger picture is down on bonds, so that's
the bigger picture is definitely down. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and if you look at the weekly, you can see, the half square we've been talking about. That's 132. So we can't really sort of make this. We start to lose ground. 132 is next. So we did enter a new square up here when we broke through into the 72. The way we know that it's a good square, you can see how the pullback, that little white bar in the middle, how the high of that was exactly on the square, and that hooked and we sold off. So now we're just sort of consolidating. Looks a little weak. You're right. It looks a little heavy.
Yep.
So let's see how we move out of this. And we're definitely weak below 140. Next, let's take a look at crude.
Chugging along.
Chugging along, man. It's one of those things, if it ain't broke, don't mess with it. So
right.
Leave it alone and trade the long side. I think there's more to go. Not much more to add. Looking at the weekly, again, beautiful chart. Everything's like clockwork. We came back to the lows. I came back to the breakout square, tested it, beautiful pullback and moving higher. And that's the kind of price action you want to see. So that's good. Looking at gold. So we were talking about, prices being sloppy down below these square, we drew out 2 boxes. So on gold, we talked about, being able to hold above 1832. Look
at that test. Perfect.
Yeah, that test was fairly good. So between 1887 and 1832, it's really consolidation area. Let it finish up, and we'll know when it's ready to move up. When it takes out 1887. Until then, between these two levels, it's consolidating. And if we take out 1832, well, we could go back and retest the low. So I think that could be in the books. For now, there's not much to do other than to maybe take shots to the long side if it sets up above 1832 for now. And looking at the weekly gold, talking about hitting to the tick You can see the high of last week was exactly, right at that 1881 area. We came back to the lower part of the zone that we drew out. So clearly, as long as we're under that, it's consolidating. So let it be, let it get a breather, and we'll pick it up when it's ready. Move it on to the dollar. Pretty much the same story. I think, we had a good run, decent correction. So as long as we're holding, 101 is really a number that we've been talking about, which is the half square of 90, 45 degrees up from early January lows where this leg started. The key here is to see, did we end it here? And it's possible. And in that case, we'd go for a lower high and then fail. So we'll be watching that very closely. For now, it's bullish, and looks like the correction is done. We did make a higher low, and if that holds, I think we'll go on to make a higher high for next week. So we'll watch that. You have anything to add to that, dollar?
Just the dollar's like a lot of markets that were trending. They're now consolidating and correcting. There's only a couple markets that are, even looking at all the commodities, there's only a few markets that are actually trending right now.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of stuff is in counter trends or corrections or consolidations. So it's, and the dollar, I think, is similar. It's a bullish trend that has had a pullback, and now we're seeing, where this low came in, if it can build off that.
And this is the time to keep your powder dry, not be out there.
That's right.
And that's what we're talking about, corrections and waiting for the next leg to sort of show up.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at the weekly dollar. So weekly dollar, this correction was really fairly good, right? We came right down to the breakout point, which was 90, right around 101. We were held above that. So long as, in my book, long as we're above 101, which happens to be the, top of the 90-degree square, it's in good shape to take another shot at least, checking out this 106, 107 levels. Up until then, we might consolidate. And like I always say, if we consolidate above the square, it's a bullish consolidation. So we can expect it to move higher. So we're watching that very closely for now. It's given a lot, dollars had a really great move. And so far the correction is holding key levels and things look intact.
Agreed.
Yeah. The euro, well, we left it last week. It's a 108 area being key resistance, and this 180 down from the high being sort of the balance point. If we slip below that again, we could probably go much lower. So for now, we're kind of watching that. Not much to do. Again, it's one of those markets that gave a lot, and now it's correcting. So I think, although I think this 216 might be hit before all this is said and done. Wait and see for that. But for now, it's I feel like it's correcting below this 108 area. Not much to do, and we have some support at this 180. So it's kind of a consolidation area. Not much. Maybe after next week we'll have something more to go with.
Agreed.
The weekly chart, pretty much the same story. We went down into, we did get that 72 weeks, looks like. So
that was good. Yeah. Timing wise.
So that was good. We saw that coming, and we were looking for some kind of a correction, and we got that. And there is room, we can get up to this 109 area and still be okay for a correction on a weekly basis. So basically it's correcting, and weekly is kind of on a weak footing. Daily's weak below 108, but it's kind of a 101 above the 180-degree square. So, chop, I think, and consolidating.
Agreed.
Yeah, not much else to do there. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Let's put it back to you, cover the commodities and NASDAQ and everything else.
Sure.
And if you guys watching, if you guys like the work and like what we do, feel free to hit the likes. We've been getting more likes, so thank you. That's really great. It's good to see, and we get motivated and we wake up earlier.
Yeah,
it really works. So thanks for the likes and the shares and subscribing and all of that good stuff.
Excellent review.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Let me put it back to you.
Yeah. So the commodities, again,
Go ahead.
like we mentioned, the commodities are kind of most of them are correcting or consolidating. I'm going to highlight, the same six we talked about last week because they're either setting up or a couple of them are actually starting to move.
Mm-hmm.
The grains, and I know we had a request specifically for wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're all, continue to be in sort of consolidation mode. I am watching them closely because we did see some weakness this past week, looking for the, good levels and good spots to get back in. So if we don't talk about them specifically, if you don't see the charts on the weekly show, it just means it's, in my work, it's not set up yet. And I try to be early too. So
Right. No,
as,
we've not set up.
yeah, as they begin to, create the opportunity, we'll for surely mention them and talk about them, here on the show each week. So here's old NQs, Barry, and look at what we spent the last week doing,
Mm-hmm.
battling at this top of the square, in this 12, let's call it 12,750 to 12,800. There's a real battle going on. I mean, you can see
Yeah.
each day pushed above and below. We closed near the low.
Mm-hmm.
So, given to what you're seeing in the ES, which is similar to what I am, I wouldn't be surprised if we chopped around some more, even pulled back, to set up potentially could be the next move higher, but we clearly are not getting through this full square on this attempt. So we'll see what happens this week. The timing wise, which we talked about last week, again, we're looking to see if we get a similar leg like we got in off the March low.
Mm-hmm.
It takes us out to around the 22nd, 23rd of June. So that's potential timing for an end to this counter trend. Price wise, we want to watch this 12,800 area, 750, 800 for clearing. That would really open up, the possibilities of moving much higher.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you have to add on NQs?
Oh, we're good.
There's gold. As Barry said, gold is, continues to try and build this sort of progress for higher prices. The reason I wanted to show the gold chart, and I'm still very bullish, just to show again where we stopped on the upside.
Mm-hmm.
We made it to the half square and got rejected. So it's not surprising on the first try. Watch the pullback, see if we can make a higher low. And if we can even stay on top of this trend line, which probably won't happen, it'll probably push through that. But as long as we make a higher low from the May lows, we'll be in good shape for further movement to the upside.
Mm-hmm.
Here's silver. Similar situation to gold in that it's trying to build off of this May low. You can see we're running into resistance here at the full square, which is about, call it 22.65. 66. Same thing. We want to see a higher low come in on any pullbacks higher than this May low. As long as we do, and then get through this and can sit on top of this full square, I think silver is bullish for a run up to the top of the square here. 26.50, $27.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been watching silver too, Barry. Anything you have to add on silver?
Well, it's the same story. Just we're waiting for it to finish up the consolidation and start moving again. And that top line is, of course, still the main point, main level.
Yes. Next one I want to talk about was copper, and this I think is a perfect chart. We talked about it in here a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then the key level here on copper was this 43.33, where we battled for over a week and couldn't get through. And then look at that one bar. Not only did we get through, we went right up to the half square. I mean, same day we broke through, we went to the half square at 457. We've since backed off. Key thing to watch on this pullback, if we hold above this full square, that's going to give us the sort of juice to go up and challenge this again. And if we beat that, it's full square, about 480. So this is why we try to look at these things early, put them on your radar and say, hey, watch this, watch these levels, watch the price action, because, this is what can happen and how you can catch these fast moves once levels are broken and the setup is there. So copper still looks good. We're watching the pullback, see if we can get a decent setup after that nice trade we had there up to the half square. I'll mention this one just a second. Barrie talked about it. Crude looks great. The interesting thing, Friday, we had there's only one day this year we've had a higher close, even with all these big spikes above it. Only one day closed higher, and that was on March 8th. Every other spike closed below where we closed Friday. So this looks really, really bullish. And the last thing I'll show you on crude, because I know Barrie covered it. This is our little concentric circle chart. You can see we had trouble here on a weekly basis escaping from these circles. Once we did and then checked back, look at what we've done in the 3 weeks since. So as long as this continues, we're going to push up to the top of this square, which is up in here around 138, 140. And if we go through that, the upper band here, you're looking at 147, 150. So I think that's coming in crude. Two more left. We're just going to hit the softs real quick. This is sugar, which I'm sure has been frustrating everyone because I've been pounding the table on this one, and it just seems to be stuck in this full square. Mm-hmm. I still like it. I think it's part of this overall pattern that it's been doing in this consolidation, which if you look at it is almost 1 year long. This is the kind of base that gives you powerful moves. So I want to keep this on your radar. As long as we're above this, this full square in the 1850 area, sugar is very bullish and can break out with a monster move at any moment. So I'm still on top of sugar, still really like it. And I think, again, let's see if we get another pullback with another higher low here. If we do, it just sort of adds to the case and the evidence that bigger picture is pointing to much higher prices in sugar. Anything else you have to add on sugar, Barrie?
No, just it's just the character lately. So we're waiting for the time to pass, let the next move start. So it's quite not ready, but let's see. I think it's on watch mode, but it's on the positive side since we cleared the square that we, at the low.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Last one we'll look at had a beautiful week. We talked about this the last couple of weeks, and that's coffee. The one thing I want to point people's attention to that'll help you, I think, in identifying these patterns we can capture these sort of moves. Look at coffee from this high here in July, August. We came down and then started working our way up and then got this powerful move higher that basically went a square and a half. We have a similar pattern here, right? We made a high, we've come down, and now we're starting to put in the higher lows and higher highs. So watch your pullbacks on this. If you're not long, watch your pullbacks, find spots to get in. Mm-hmm. Notice where this pullback went on Friday, right on the top of the square or the half square, 231.5. Held the square there. Even if we hold that, it's super bullish. Even if we pull back and put in another higher low, I think we're setting up for another move like this off this formation here. So I'm still very bullish on coffee. Love the price action we saw this week. We may get a little reaction here off this completed ABC sort of for the first wave and get a little second wave pullback, or it could mark time. But I think we're going to see higher prices. If this fractal completes again, the target is up around 270, up around here.
Yep.
Which would be new highs and a nice move. Anything else you have to add on coffee? I know you're very bullish on it too.
Well, I'm remaining bullish, and you have to be careful. Like I said last time, just trade it carefully and wait for the big break, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the patience.
No question.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's it for me. Everything else, as I said, in commodity land is consolidating, correcting, doing some sort of congestion off of a big move it's already had. We'll keep watching them and keep bringing them to you. Watch for pullbacks in equity markets this week, because that's what I think we're going to see. We want to see the character of the pullbacks, and if they hold above the levels Barrie talked about on the indices, the next leg up into late June, I think will get started, and that's when we really want to be ready for the sell. Anything else to add, Barrie?
No, that was good coverage, Ben. All clear.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Barrie, have a terrific week, and we'll talk with you soon.
Thanks, Ben. Have a good week, everybody.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.